this is my review of Sonic X. Okay, so in this episode, we're properly introduced to Chris's parents. So in the morning while he's eating his breakfast, his Mr. Tanaka informs Chris that his parents are going to be stopping in for a visit, and he's really excited. But then he also runs off to tell Sonic and his friends that they have to stay out of the way, so that his parents don't spot him. Pointing out that their visit is going to be short, so they don't have to stay out of the way for very long. Everybody agrees except for Sonic, who is preoccupied with something else. It's never explained exactly what, but I think he knows that Eggman might be spying on him or something. It's because that's my best guess based on some of the things we see in the episode. But my best guess that I think is that he's either concerned about going home or he's concerned about Dr. Eggman spying on him. Either way, he's preoccupied with something. But in any case, Chris thinks that something is up with Sonic. He realizes something is up with Sonic, wonders if it's him, but decides not to push it further and realizes he needs to go to school, so he leaves. At which point, Tails and Amy ask Chuck what exactly it is their parents do that they're never home all the time. And Chuck explains that his son, Mr. Thorndike, actually works as the president of a large mega corporation that develops technologies, and his wife is an actor. So yeah, they're very busy all the time, and they're almost never home except for a couple of phone calls. But they do love their son, as evident by this episode, because this episode shows that they get very concerned because of plot reasons. But I'll get into that in a minute. So Chris goes to school to math class with Mr. Stewart, who has since fallen asleep, and nobody can actually figure out the problems on the board. At which point Dr. Eggman decides the best way to actually take over the world is to brainwash the kids. So he sends a robot named Intelligente to go and do the job for him. So he sends Intelligente to the school, who proceeds to kick Mr. Stewart out of his own classroom, and Mr. Stewart devises several attempts to try and get Intelligente thrown out of the school. But here's the problem. Intelligente is actually great with the kids. He's a great teacher. He's actually makes it fun to learn. He does fun activities with them to keep them entertained, and overall he's just a really good teacher. So nobody actually takes his claim seriously. At one point he even calls the police, but the police officer that arrives decides not to do anything, and is mainly preoccupied with eating his burger because he left in the middle of lunch. And when Mr. Stewart takes his burger from him and orders him to go and arrest Intelligente, the police officer actually chases after him for stealing his burger, and he's on the run for the rest of the episode. But yeah. Meanwhile, Dr. Eggman is watching all this using a special satellite he developed at some point to observe everything that goes on, but realizes that Intelligente is doing a pretty good job in the first half of his assignment, which was to take over as teacher at the school. But he's not doing so well at his second half of the assignment, which is to actually brainwash the kids into loving Dr. Eggman. So he sends Buck on to sort him out. However, Intelligente firmly denies his purpose to brainwash the kids into following Dr. Eggman, pointing out that he actually loves being a teacher. He wants to actually be a teacher, and he doesn't want to follow Dr. Eggman anymore, and he doesn't really care what Dr. Eggman does to him. However, that winds up being a farce when Dr. Eggman shows up in person and threatens him to get back in line, and he does. So, yeah, I think that was all. I think Intelligente was just all talk there. And then Dr. Eggman orders Intelligente to hold all of the kids for detention. Meanwhile, Chris's parents, who have long since arrived at Thorndike Mansion and are asking about where Chris is and why he hasn't shown up yet, start worrying their heads off. At which point, and Sonic, having been observing the whole situation, actually leaves without being asked to, and goes to the school to check out what's going on, and realizing that, and also suspects that Eggman is probably behind it. And sure enough, he shows up. He sees the giant robot. He defeats Intelligente, and Eggman just kind of leaves, since he's not really prepared to take Sonic on in a fair fight. So he just leaves. But But in any case, the kids have now been exposed to Sonic, so now everybody knows Sonic is a thing, at least at the school. So, yeah, now all the kids know Sonic is a thing. And then, shortly after defeating Intelligente, Sonic tells Chris that he needs to hurry home because his parents are worried sick about them. And Chris and Sonic head home and go to join in on a nice family dinner. And Mr. Stewart, seeing the kids head home and having observed this whole situation throughout the whole day, realizes there's probably more to it being a teacher than just giving out homework and taking naps in the middle of the day. And realizes he probably needs to do a better job of being a teacher. However, because he's still being chased by the cop, we don't see much of him for very long. He doesn't get very long to reflect on that point. In any case, this episode was just kind of a little bit wholesome because not only were we introduced to a robot who didn't exactly want to do what Dr. Eggman told him to do, which is kind of cool as a concept, but we were also introduced to Chris's parents, who, despite never being home at all, like basically ever, they do indeed enjoy their son's company and get worried when he doesn't show up on time. So yeah, this episode overall was very wholesome. So yeah, the robot of this episode didn't want to do what Dr. Eggman told him to do until Dr. Eggman showed up in person and threatened him to do what he wanted to do it, or he'll take him apart. And Chris's parents, despite never being home, actually do care about their son's well-being and got worried when he didn't show up for dinner on time. So yeah, overall this episode was just very wholesome. It showed that not all the robots are bad guys, and despite the fact that Chris's parents are never home, they do genuinely care for him. So that's my review of Sonic X. What did you guys think? Let's get the discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord server, link in the description. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And also, check out my Patreon in the description below as well. It's only a couple bucks a month. It really helps me out, and you guys get access to a bunch of cool perks that are right away saying thanks. So be sure to check those out in the description below as well. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!